That's a really important first step. A lot of people say, I just want to get in there and clean out the space, or I want to reorganize it. But if you really spend this first few moments with a reflection of, how do I want to feel? That kind of sets the mood, and then I can imagine feeling that, and then what might need to change, and I can just think of or take note of things that I definitely want to change. And so it may say, I want to put this bookshelf here, or I want to declutter these things, or I want to make sure that this is on display, or maybe I need to change how this room functions overall.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer who have teamed up
to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim.
Hi there, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jen.
And we are the authors of Reframe and Reclaim. Today we're here to talk about the reframe process. Now, this is a really important part of the whole 7-step process, but how do you get started? And so we really want to talk about getting into the mindset to start to reflect.
Yes, because anyone who's ever started a project like this know how overwhelming it can be. And you just think, where do I start? And your mind snowballs, and then nothing gets done. And then you're on your phone scrolling at houses that you think are prettier than yours, right? So it's like...
Yes. Where can I move that really I can have the space and time that I need, right? Yes, Zillow is definitely on my apps on my phone. So, but we really do want to talk about, this is a 7-step process, and we want you to feel well prepared for the whole process. So we really want to talk about just getting into the mindset. And I really think it starts with just finding a little bit of time. You're not going to actually going through all 7 steps here. We're just going to find 20, 30 minutes of time.
Or 10 if you have it. Do 2 sessions of 10 minutes.
Yeah. And what you really want to do is you want to find yourself in your space. So go to the kitchen, or go to the closet, or go to the guest bathroom, and you just want to sit in that space. And we want to find time to look at and reflect.
Yes.
I promise you, this is a really great first step. So with reflect, you want to look in your space and you want to see, how am I feeling in this space currently? So when you're in your dining room, how does it feel to be in this space? If you're in your living room, what does this space feel for you?
Yes, and then also, how does it function? What do you do in the space every day that has to be taken into consideration for how the space will function as well as feel? And I think it's you need to ask yourself, how do you feel now, and how do you want it to feel?
Right. So now if I walk into my home and I'm looking at my child's playroom, this happens quite frequently. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. There's too much stuff in here. How do I want it to feel? Well, I want it to make sure that it feels like a space that my child can enjoy, that he can play, that he can imagine, he can get lost in his own little world. But I also want to make sure that it's not going to overflow into the other areas of the home.
Yeah, and that can be done in several different ways. But one of the things I found that's really great with kids is setting physical boundaries, right? So if it's, I have this bin or this shelf or this space, and you can fill it with the items that you enjoy. But once that's full, then we have to edit out and really look at what is it you play with and what do you want to keep.
Yeah. So if you are sharing a space like a playroom with your children, or you want them to participate in this process, I really think they can. And so with that, it's getting some time, and we're thinking about, what toys do you want to keep? We're not actually going through the 7 steps here. We're just thinking, does this really function, and does this maintain a system that helps me feel good in this space? And if not, what do we need to do differently?
Yes, and what has kept you from tackling this project in the past? Is it just the sheer overwhelm? Is it that you have to get other people on board, like Courtney said? So addressing those as well, so that way when you do have time, you have optimal results, really.
Yeah. And so as we get into the reflect space, we want to make sure that you feel good. So make sure you have a good night's rest the day before. Make sure you're not hungry or overwhelmed or stressed or having other things that are more pressing than a time to just sit and think. We want to make sure that the mindset that you're in to start the reflecting is actually time that you can dedicate to this step.
Because let's be honest, if you're in this position where this is happening over and over again, then what's happened is this to-do has just been a lower priority. And that's just life, right? Like, that's not to criticize anybody.
Yes.
I do it too, because you got to make dinner, before you pick up the toys. So it's that, give and take of life, but really setting an intention and setting aside time to tackle this problem that's causing you stress in your everyday life. And it doesn't have to be a large chunk of time. It doesn't have to be 4 hours. It doesn't have to be an hour. Like Courtney said, it's as little as 10 minutes to 20 minutes. And it's amazing how much better you feel with just that little bit of time. And how much you can accomplish.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important first step. A lot of people say, I just want to get in there and clean out the space, or I want to reorganize it. But if you really spend this first few moments with a reflection of, how do I want to feel? That kind of sets the mood, and then I can imagine feeling that, and then what might need to change, and I can just think of or take note of things that I definitely want to change. And so it may say, I want to put this bookshelf here, or I want to declutter these things, or I want to make sure that this is on display, or maybe I need to change how this room functions overall.
Yeah, and like Courtney said, taking the time to really sit in the space. Like if it's your guest bathroom, like you could even take a cup of coffee, go sit in there and make people wonder what you're doing,
Sure.
But just take the time, get a snack if you need it, get something to drink, some tea or coffee, and really take that time to be introspective.
Yeah. And again, this is one of the steps. We want to get into the mindset. So it's really hard to really focus in a space when I'm feeling rushed, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or feeling stressed or disinterested. So think about this. It might be, hey, can you take the kids out of the house? Or I'm going to wait until the kids go to bed. Or I'm going to make sure that I've, put the laundry away and the dishes are done. And then I'll have the bandwidth, the mindset to be able to sit in this space for a moment.
And something else to think of, we talked about how it functions, but, what are the everyday activities? Who are the people that use the space? And then also, is there a budget that needs to be taken into consideration? You don't want to get number crunching or anything like that, but it's like, if I could replace the sofa with something that sat more people, would that function in this room better? Or could I, in my kitchen, take away these 5 gadgets and just have this one, or do I have 2 favorite spatulas, but I always use this one because it's my favorite, and so do I really need this other one because I keep coming back to this one? So kind of thinking through the functionality and what you're really going to use.
Right.
So,
and again, this is an honest step. If you do have other people that share this space with you, it might be helpful for everyone to be together, or taking turns. Maybe I sit in this space a little bit, and then my partner sits in the space, and then we come together at a different time and talk about our ideas. I will say there's been multiple times, and my husband will be so happy to hear me say this, where I had an idea about a space or how something might work, and I hear his idea and I go, wow, I actually like that better. And so really being open to hearing each other as well, and how you see the space, how you want the space to function, being open to those conversations can also be really helpful as well.
Yeah. And then something else to help really guide your vision is taking the time to do some of your own research. So this is where we're giving you permission to go online and scroll, set a timer for 10 minutes. Don't do it all day. But you can start a Pinterest board. You can start a vision board and really narrow down what your vision is. And then that's going to help you in all directions, because it's going to help you communicate to anyone else in the home what you're thinking of. It's also going to give you direction for if you're out shopping, so you're not impulse purchasing things that aren't really going to fit into the ideal scenario and environment that you want. So taking that time to really flush out those ideas will help you tremendously in the long run.
Right, because I don't know about you, but I can definitely get into a store and be like, that's cute.
Yes.
Or I really like that. but I don't always have an intention or a function for it. So just like you would, maybe write a grocery list before you go to the grocery store, you definitely want to come up with a list of things that I might either need to replace or get for organizational materials for this space before I actually go and start that process.
And you definitely don't want to go buy the organizational materials first, because once you get in there and discover what it is you need, that will dictate what items you're going to need to purchase later, if any.
Yeah. So we want to encourage you, start the process by finding a little bit of time in your day. Go and sit in a space that you're considering to reclaim in some ways. It doesn't have to be a complete renovation. Use what you have in your home. Restage how this space looks and feels. And let us know what you come up with and how you're ready to reframe and
reclaim.
We look forward to hearing from you soon, and we can't wait for you to read our book, Reframe and Reclaim, the 7-step guide to reframe your relationship with your belongings and reclaim your space.
Have a great day.
See you soon.